Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Have you ever wondered what women's empowerment coaches do? You might also be wondering what this has to do with diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI is a conscious inclusion journey that includes you being conscious and unconscious. It leads you to being aware of your biases, conscious or not. It fundamentally requires a change in your thought patterns while being emotionally intelligent. This requires a whole mind shift. It does not come easy. You will hear her story on how she transformed her life. This illustrates how DEI and transforming your life can greatly impact you and those around you. My name is Rochelle Carrier, and I'm a diversity, equity, and inclusion advocate. And for a living, I help thought provoking leaders implement intentional DEI workshops in their workplace. And if you tune in, not only will you have better insight of our experiences, it will allow room for further reflection. This is our first episode with Olivia Sage. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome. Olivia is a coach, breath work facilitator, yoga instructor, meditation teacher, and a human. She sees life as a journey where we get to live up to our highest potential by finding our unique voice, flavor, and purpose. Originally from Turkey, she moved to the States 12 years ago, giving her a global perspective on life, believing that we need to take radical responsibility, and that's a big word, radical responsibility for our own happiness and create high standards. She lives into a world where everyone is authentically living a life of purpose, joy, and love. Her deep passion for all humans is evident in the way she gently guides you towards discovering your own unique gifts and talents so that you can create the highest vision of yourself that you can live up to. Olivia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So, I wanted to, I want you to tell us what exactly was your journey. What was your journey and what was your life's
Mhm.
purpose? Did you know that you had a purpose?
I did not in the beginning. In the beginning, it started. My journey started one day by me waking up. They talk about this dark night of the soul moment. There's this pivotal moment. I woke up one day and I looked around and I realized I have everything that I thought I needed to be happy. All the external things. I had a nice house. I was married to someone who was like wealthy and well respected. I had a healthy child that I wanted for years. Um, I had a nice house. I moved to Miami. I'm living on the beach. Like I had the life. Looking from outside, I had everything that I wanted, but I felt empty. Something was missing inside, and I couldn't put a finger on it. And I started wondering and asking these questions like, is this is it? I arrived somewhere and I got everything I wanted, but I was like, why am I not happy? What is happening here? So I started questioning, is this the life that I want to live? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Is this the person I want to spend the rest of my life with? Is this what I want to be doing? Am I a mom? And who am I? So all these questions brought me to my inner purpose, which is finding myself, this journey of being myself as authentically as possible. And then through finding my inner purpose, I found my outer purpose, which is helping empowering other women to find their purpose.
Do you When was your tipping moment?
I think it was 6 years ago. It was 6 years ago, that day that I just looked around and just couldn't figure it out. That feeling of feeling empty. And I was going through my days in survival mode. I realized I was just trying to get through my days just to go to sleep, wake up, and do it all over again. And I realized this is not it. I only have one chance, one life, and this is not it.
Right. And can you tell the audience how did you start? Like, where does it all begin?
It begins with awareness, being aware and realizing, checking with yourself, with your heart, with your body, with your soul, because internally in our gut, like especially for women, we have a very strong, powerful intuition. We have womb wisdom, like we are so powerful, we're so wise, but we forget. We forget, because we're busy with work, we're busy with the kids, we're busy with life. So for me, how it began was to actually connecting to myself. It started with yoga, from coming from my mind into my body, because people talk about ascension and this and that, but first you need to come into your body. You need to feel the feelings of anger, grief, whatever is happening inside that we tend to put away and numb, with alcohol, with food, with work. So it starts with feeling.
It's funny. There's Dr. Aku joined, and she says, our inner voice always guides us if we listen.
So true.
It's
So
so
true.
true. Dr.
That's why
Aku, great comment.
Yeah, that's why meditation is so powerful. Because when we sit and give ourselves the gift of our own presence, right? Especially for women, we give it to anybody else, everybody else, our spouses, our partners, our kids, the work, our friends. But I realized that I was never giving it to myself. So once I started sitting and meditating and actually listening to my heart, listening to my inner guidance, everything started unfolding.
Can you explain a little bit on what yoga is? We all have an idea of what yoga
Mhm.
is. And I know when I started, it was more than 20 years ago. I thought it was just simple stretches. And then as I got older and understood yoga and the meanings behind each pose, the meanings behind breath work, you know, and how it ties into us being a whole person,
Mhm.
I viewed yoga differently. So how would you explain yoga?
Yoga is a lifestyle. It's simply, in simple terms, it means union. So it's the union of our mind, body, and spirit. Most of us, like 90% of the time during our days, we live in the mind. We listen to this inner critic, inner voice, and this is where it's tied to mindset as well, right? So we think we are this voice in our heads and we listen to it, and it has all these limiting beliefs, all these fears, right? So yoga for me, is an understanding that you are more than that. You're more than your body, you're more than your mind, and this is a whole system. You're a whole universe within yourself.
Right. So it's like a yoke.
Yes, it's yolking. Yes, yolking all the parts of yourself. It's integration of your light and dark, the shadow work. You can go anywhere with it.
Right.
It's so much bigger than what we think. It's just not the physical practice.
Right. So how does breath work? Can you explain breath work and how does it tie
Mhm.
in with yoga?
Sure. So breath work is, intentional changing like intentionally we change the pattern of our breathing, because most of us, like I said, when we don't have the awareness, when we are not intentional with our breath, most of us breathe up here into our chest, and very shallow breathing. And it's said that people have a certain number of breaths during a lifetime. So the longer you breathe, the longer you live. So breath comes in as a very beautiful complementary practice to yoga. And through breath work, we can heal a lot of things. We can connect to our inner wisdom, our womb wisdom, our sexual energy. We can, through breath, we can, so there's so many kinds of breaths, right? There's breath of fire. So if you're feeling like sluggish, if you want to like get things going, if you don't want to move. So breath of fire really, brings that action. Or in pranayama, there's bumblebee breath. If you're having trouble falling asleep, right? Sleep is so important. So we can use bumblebee breath, Brahmari, to calm our nervous system and get ourselves ready for rest. So there's so many kinds of breath work it's so powerful.
That's interesting. The so essentially the breath work calms the nervous system. Is that what you're saying?
Hmm. Yes, there's different kinds of breath work, but yes, breath work can definitely help you calm your nervous system, help you
So what
sleep
would
better.
oh really to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's something that I have trouble with. So what's the bumblebee breath? What is it and what does it sound like?
Yeah. So Brahmari breath, bumblebee breath, sounds like, so the inhale is a long, smooth inhale. So we breathe in into the lungs, expanding the lungs. So the inhale is the Ujjayi breath, just long, smooth inhale. And with the exhale, we make the noise of the bumblebee. So, and you can add like a hand movement where you can actually like put your hands on your face a certain way. And it's really so soothing. It's beautiful. I do that with my son. I have a 7-year-old and he used to have trouble sleeping. So the kids can practice this, families, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful practice.
Right. I see the even the sound. I feel a vibration in my throat. I felt,
Mm-hmm.
even though the couple of seconds I did it, I felt a vibration in my chest and it
Mm-hmm.
felt soothing.
Mm-hmm. It's very soothing. Yes.
Mm. So, as a woman's empowerment coach, how can you explain exactly what it is that you do as a woman's empowerment coach?
Sure. So it starts with meeting my clients where they are, right? We do an assessment in all areas of their life, 7 areas of their life: business, relationships, inner voice, outer world, like the outlook to the world, sense of self. In all the areas, this can also health and movement. So we look at every areas and we identify exactly where you are, and then we create this vision. We tap into your desires
Right.
and we create this vision of where you want to be. So that's where I come in and I help you get there faster.
It's interesting because I know we work together
Mm-hmm.
and before I'll go back a little bit. So you said your process started roughly 6 years ago
Mm-hmm.
when you started realizing that the external things you had did not make you happy,
Mm-hmm.
that you really felt empty inside. And mine came in February when I realized after 25 years of teaching, I had to shift. I had to pivot and and like you said, I used the word drastic, you said radical.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a radical pivot, 360 degrees. And I had no boat, no oars. I was literally sinking, didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew the one thing for sure
Mm-hmm.
was that I had to make a change. So then
Mm-hmm.
when, we worked together, it was exactly what you said. Where are you now? And
Mm-hmm.
then how can I help you get there? But with the questions, I found the questions to be very useful. The homework, because the homework helps absorb the information and it's practical work.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing really sinks in just by having a one-on-one. You actually have to do the work to be able to understand what you're doing. And I found it to be miraculous, really, because I didn't think I would have been able to do it
Mm-hmm.
without the help of a coach. So
Mm-hmm.
what is it, do you think, that women can utilize from working with you?
Mhm. Like you said, it's the questions, right? You already had all the answers within you. And it was just me asking, helping you, like setting up that safe container. So for me, I set up the container with no judgments. I help all the women wherever you're in your journey. If you decided that this is not it, there's more to my life. I have a purpose. There's a reason I'm here, and you're ready to make a change, I can come in and hold that safe space for you and ask you these questions that you mentioned and help you reconnect to your soul, to your heart, what is really within there. Like you said, you had no idea where you were going, but at the same time, you knew that something has to change. And that's where I come in. I bring clarity. I hold a container and I guide you towards your passion, your purpose.
Right. So if someone were to live their life fully, what is the first
Mhm.
change that you would suggest starting with?
Mhm. Choosing themselves and asking themselves the question, what would someone who loved themselves do? Right? Choosing yourself, for we always put ourselves last, and a lot of women don't have desires anymore. Like they don't even think that they're allowed to have desires. So most women are waiting for permission, and I find myself giving people permission a lot because we don't realize, we grow up with this, with parents, society, all these norms and programming, and it's always like you have to do certain things, everything this way or that way. And it's hard for us to realize, wait a second, I'm the adult now, I can give my permission,
Right.
myself permission.
Right.
So most of the time in the coaching container, it's about me believing in your mission, me believing in your purpose,
Right.
so you can believe in your mission, so you can believe in your purpose, so you can feel supported to take those steps.
Right. And you mentioned something really interesting. So as women in general, like you said, we tend to
Mhm.
put others first. We tend to be pleasers.
Mhm.
And it's true. You said, it was interesting because when you said we don't think we have desires,
Mhm.
and a desire to paint, a desire to dance, or desire to go out, or desires, to travel. Those are desires, sexual desires. Just there's so many
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
can fulfill us if
Mhm.
we put ourselves first. Do you agree?
100%. Looking back, when I started my journey, I didn't even realize going out or going dancing or traveling or even like expressing my desires was something that's like pivotal. Like we have to stay connected to our desires, because this is what life is about. This is the juice. This is the secret of happiness. It's the magic. Humans, our desires is the magic. It's the juice that brings the juice to our life.
Right.
So looking back now, I'm like, I've been traveling a lot. I've been going dancing a lot. I am practicing now, learning more. I'm more into sacred sexuality and tantra and different kinds of breath work. So also for me, growth is so important. I realized that I stopped growing. I stopped learning. And so the things that are different in my life are, most of them are connected to my desires, connected what I want to learn, where I want to grow, where I want to expand. It's about expansion. For me right now, it's all about expansion. Where can I expand my purpose? Who can I help? That's still part of my purpose, part of my expansion. But it starts with me. It starts with me, you know, um, fulfilling my own needs first. And then I have so much more to give. Giving from the overflow is such a different energy.
Right. We talk about energy
Mm,
often, and it seems very obscure.
mm,
You think of energy, you don't necessarily attach it to a being.
mm,
And I know the term is constantly used, and it's hard to put it in words where, the
mm,
audience or people can understand what energy is. So, can you give us a concrete example of,
mhm,
what energy is and where it lives, how it lives? It's in a leaf, is it in a tree?
mhm,
Is it in the wind? Is it also in us? Is it in babies, people, humans?
mhm.
If you can give
I
us a.
think
Mhm.
the most solid thing I can think of is if you see like an electric circuit, this electric circuit, like you can actually see it. When I say it, you just saw it, right? And you said, oh, right, that I can see that, the electric circuit. So it's something that runs through us. We all have an electromagnetic field. For example, if somebody's heart stops, they give him what? The shock, electric. That's electric. That's how your heart works. It's so the energy, and I talk a lot about masculine feminine energy that is both inside women and men, right? And actually, mastering energy is one of the secrets of life, because energy cannot be destroyed or made. We only can manipulate it and change it into what we want. So I'm actually teaching a 6-month workshop in Miami, like starting next month, that is how to use your sexual energy to manifest anything you desire. You want a new job, a new apartment, a boyfriend, money. You can manifest anything using energy. So, like you said, energy lives in everything. Yes, we are all alive, and just like um, I would say, like our body, just like the universe, it's a cycle, and it's this energy cycle. So when we are here, when we connected to the breath, for example, that's the life force. That's also energy. That's why breath work is also so powerful, because you're learning to mold your energy, your life force into whatever you want. You can use it to, energize your body. You can use it to calm your nervous system, right? So there's many ways to use. And in my coaching practice, I use a lot of tools, and I would say breath work is one of the ones that stays, and the rest is very personalized.
Right. Would you agree that thoughts are energy?
Oh yes, for sure, for sure. And I think when it comes to mindset and limiting beliefs, that's one of the work that I help clients with. For example, I help people, we identify their limiting belief, like a thought. Let's say you cannot start a podcast because it's too hard, right? So it's too hard to start a podcast. So this is energy. So I help people take these limiting beliefs and alchemize them, turn them into powerful affirmations that they listen to for, the next 21 days. And this is how we manipulate energy, turning limiting beliefs into powerful affirmations.
It's interesting. And I think there's a constant, someone just said, a LinkedIn user said, I love doing breath work.
Mm,
Yeah. And Dr. Aku, she says again, people think that they can't meditate. This was on what we were discussing earlier. She said, I
mm,
teach them, and this is just about finding the proper practice. So it's
mhm,
personalized, it's personal to everybody, proper practice, and then practicing.
mm. Yes, yes.
Right.
Um, yeah, meditation. Yeah, for beginners, I have a system that I teach them very beginning. And if people are having trouble sitting still, doing nothing, you can tune into Satnam. which is from Kundalini practice, you can inhale sat, exhale nam. And when you're saying that in your mind cannot do, a lot of things at the same time. If you inhale sat, exhale nam, then it helps you keep on track. Or a
Mm,
second one is I do heartbeat. So I find people find their pulse, right? So we connect
okay.
to our, so you can take your like two fingers, right hand, yeah, put it here,
Oh, I
close
feel
your
it.
eyes. So yes, close your eyes. Once you feel that,
Oh my.
just stay connected to that beat, that energy.
That's amazing.
So that is energy, right?
It's
So
constantly flowing.
yeah, that's another way for a beginner to start meditating, to stay connected to that beat, their heartbeat. It's so powerful.
And when we go back to the affirmations, which is
Mhm.
something I've been living by for a
Mhm.
really long time, and I think that's what propels me to move forward. Because, like you said,
Mhm.
when we live in our head, our inner critic sets in,
Mhm.
and the whole dialogue could change. You can end up in a big black hole.
It
And
does
then
spiral down pretty quickly. Like it goes very like
it does. It spirals down very quickly. And then the minute you tune in and you say, wait a minute, I need to take control of the dialogue that's
Mhm.
going on in my head. What is it that I can replace it with?
Yes.
I am brave. I am abundant. I am enough, especially for women.
Mhm.
I am enough. And and I remember reading your story and you said something that triggered me and I thought this is amazing because that's what women need more of and it's
Mhm.
boundaries, which is
Mhm.
huge.
Yes. Yes. And it's not just setting the boundary, So we start setting the boundaries. It's like a whole journey of setting the boundary. So you set the boundary and then you don't enforce it,
Right.
and you're like, okay, next time I'm gonna say no next time. And it happens again and you're like, damn, you know. So so now, okay, this is a shift that I made for myself about boundaries, is to set high standards.
Right.
Because when you have high standards in your life, you don't have to set boundaries anymore, because boundary is something that happens in the present moment. Like something is happening and you need to say no at that moment. But if you had a high standard in the first place, you wouldn't put yourself in that situation. So high standards avoids you dealing with this little daily boundary battles. So now I help people, women, set high standards. So you don't have to even go there.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the high standards is what affects your friendships,
Mm.
your relationships, intimate relationships, exactly what you said, where you're going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which situation are you going to put yourself or not put yourself in?
Yeah.
And I think that as well also comes with being aware of who you are as a
Mm-hmm.
person
Yes. Yes.
and having others live up to that standard. And if they can't live up to that standard, then they need to move on.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I unfollowed so many people last week because,
You
oh my,
followed, you said?
unfollowed.
Unfollowed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like 1,000 people. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but because like I don't know, like it's so normal. This is scary for a lot of people, a lot of women, because we hold on to the relationships that doesn't serve us anymore so many times. It's not only romantic relationships, it can be work relationships, it can be friendships. And it's scary, and sometimes this this journey is a little bit lonely, can feel a little lonely. But this is exactly me, shows that you're on the right path. You're supposed to grow out, flow out of people's lives. It doesn't have to be you're pushing them away, but you float out gently with grace, and you grow, and then you attract a new level of women people around you. And this is energy. Also, this is energy. Like I've been, the friends that I made within the last 1 year, I am so much closer with than my that I people I met 6 years ago, 10 years ago, because
Yeah,
I with this energy, with this standards, not everybody's here, and I have to let go. It's part of letting go and leveling up, and there's layers and layers and layers to that.
I agree. I completely agree. And that's the school of thought that I come from. And it's interesting because, I think we're diverging just a little bit, but it
Mhm.
all ties in to to the standards, to the boundaries,
Mhm.
to mind shifts, and to attracting different people. And
Mhm.
social media, I think also what happens with social media is we're attracted to the numbers.
Mhm.
And oh, I have X amount of followers, and they're following me because. And then, but that's superficial. That's not
Mhm.
really a high standard because the numbers is not a high standard. It's not the quantity, right? It's the quality. So once I think women understand who they really are and what they're bringing to the table, and we talk about that often on my show on Tuesdays, what is it that I'm going to bring to the table?
Mhm.
And am I going to bring my stool and make that place for myself at that table?
Mhm.
And that comes with the standards, the boundaries, awareness, your core values. Who
Mhm.
are you? And not being afraid that not everybody will like you.
Yes,
Yeah.
hundred
Not
percent.
being afraid.
And this ties all the way back into where I started. The external things that I got,
Right.
it's the same thing. Like
Right.
all the external. So we're looking for external validation on social media with those numbers.
Right.
But once we realize, remember, not even like find, like not even create, like we are all born whole, and we're all divine, and as women we are so like multifaceted, we have many talents, and we're bringing so much to the table, but we forget. So once we remember, and once we have that internal validation, then we don't need those things anymore. We don't need the numbers on social media, we don't need the likes, we don't need the those outside things that were not making me happy. So this is all tying all the way back to the
Right.
beginning. So
Yeah.
so
Oh, absolutely. I think it's fundamental to our growth. Once you know
mm.
those are the things that you can let go of.
Mhm.
It's like you said, it's the energy. And if somebody else's energy is not aligned with yours,
Mhm.
then I would tell them to take the door.
Mhm.
Because now, once you're aware of who you are, then it
Mhm.
definitely helps in probably continuing to raise the bar
Yes.
and continuing to work on yourself. When you see the positive outcomes, then you realize, ah,
Mhm.
now I get it.
Yeah. And also, I just realized, like you and I, we met, a long time ago, more than 5, 6 years ago, and we are still here because it's not about perfection. It's about being on the path, being like growing. And nobody's, just because we're saying, oh, there's a standard and you're in or you're out. It's not like that. It's being on the path. Are you growing? Like you and I, we both, I saw you grow. Like I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud to witness, the powerful women like you, what you're stepping into, what you're creating. And the people who are tuning in right now, this is your, and this is your environment right now. This is your standard right now. And we both like have been growing exponentially. So we are here. We're still working together, and we're still friends. And it's just like being on the path. So when we create the vision for, with my clients, it's not about the things you want to get. It's not about being perfect, So I just want to clarify that it's about being on the path, working on it every single day. Just, comparing yourself with yourself yesterday, right? Just being on the path.
Yeah. And when we say path, it's also your destiny,
Hmm.
right? It's creating a destiny for yourself or co-creating. I
Yes.
believe we're the co-creators. God's the creator and or the universe or,
Hmm.
whoever, whatever anybody believes in is really how am I doing it along with his or her help,
Yeah.
with the universe's help. Okay, these are the signs and now I'm going to take it to a different level and
Hmm.
do the work behind the scenes. I mean, as you know, this didn't come overnight. It's everything that we do is a work in progress, and it looks pretty on the outside, and I've been able to figure it out, but the work it takes
The
in the
work.
background. I mean, all the flub ups we go through. We're moms and we're friends, and
Hmm.
all of that is happening still in the background, but we're still making it happen. Like you said, we're here to serve. We still show up.
Yes. It's not about us. Like something that helped me tremendously is realizing it's not about me.
Right.
I had this fear of being on the camera live. And what helps me was understanding, remembering it's not about me. It's about these people that I want to serve. The people need to hear this. Because once we get here, we forget where we were. And I needed to hear this 6 years ago. I needed a
Right.
coach 6 years ago. So now I want to be the person that I needed.
Right.
So I need to show up for myself, and then I need to show up for the people. And social media is the way to do it right now to serve more people. So understanding that it's not about me, it's about the people I want to serve shifted a lot of things for me.
Right. It's empathy. It's understanding what the other person is going through, and like you said, it's taking them from where they are to where they can go or where they will be.
Yes, yes. And yeah, definitely. And about co-creation, that's also a big mindset shift because when we think that things are happening to us, like I hear people, go through something bad happens, and they're like, oh, why am I being punished? Why is this happening to me? And the shift from things are happening to me towards happening for me, right? We are co creators, understanding that the universe has your back, God has your back. Whatever you're moving towards, you're supported. There's an army of angels behind you supporting you. And this belief, the trust in yourself and the trust in the God, in the universe, in the source is a big mindset shift. Because when we
Right.
feel supported, then the fear dissipates.
Exactly. Then the fear dissipates. What areas of life can be upgraded or tweaked? And when I say that, I know for everybody it's different, but does it generally happen if, someone is transitioning in or out of a career? Does it
Mhm.
happen when that person is going through a big change, career, relationship, or maybe a move out of the country? I mean,
Mhm.
that's where the shifts generally happen. But, in your practice, what areas of life do you think need to be upgraded, or how does that work for you?
Hmm. Uh, I mean, it's very, like I said, I do one-on-one coaching, so it's very different for everybody. So let's
Right.
say someone comes to me, they're starting a new business, they need like business coaching, which I also do, but then it turns into a mindset coaching. It shifts a lot, and everything is so connected. So it doesn't matter where you start, something falls apart. Like something you have this awareness of something is not working. It can be your relationship. Maybe you decided to get a divorce, you decided to break up with your boyfriend, you decided to quit your 9 to 5 job. It doesn't matter wherever it starts, but once you realize that and we start working, everything else falls into place.
Right. It does.
So yeah, wherever you start doesn't matter, but then it aligns all areas of your life into place.
Right. Right.
And like you
And
said, sorry,
go ahead.
sometimes it's a big thing, like a big thing, like a divorce or death of a parent, like it can be a big thing like that, a loss, which I say, there's forced healing versus conscious healing. So I feel like universe like pokes us sometimes, like, oh, listen, like something is not okay here, you need to make changes. Sometimes we don't listen to it for so long,
Right.
then it turns into this big thing, and we quit our job, we get a divorce, and then everything, then we start, going on the journey. So it
Right.
depends.
Right. The I as as we tie in
Mhm.
diversity, equity, and inclusion into into this segment, do you think that you know changing your mindset or being aware that there are certain um, biases, unconscious biases or even conscious biases that we go through that perpetuate us from not changing?
Mhm.
Do you think that, let me rephrase it. So, when you have when your mind shift change, when your mindset changes, that could affect also how employees are are affected by their work. Usually everything is affected by the top down. So if, thought-provoking leaders have a different mindset, a diverse mindset, are aware that they have to change the way they think to be able to better understand, and like we talked about, empathizing, being in the other person's shoes, being able to serve and not just having that title. We talked about the numbers in social media, not just the CEO or the president or vice president. It's how can you serve? Do you think that affects having a more diverse mindset and a diverse workplace?
Mhm. Yes, for sure, for sure. Like you said, like my bio says, at the end of the day, we're all human. So seeing people as human, no matter what background they come from. I also was not born and raised here. I came here to States 12 years ago. So in the beginning, it was a little struggle for me to fit in. I thought people only want to hire Americans, white Americans, and I'm like the outsider, and I have an accent, and that's not gonna be, that's gonna be a problem. I'm not gonna be able to find a job, this and that, like so many limiting beliefs. So when a leader sees people as people, sees the whole person instead of a color or a background or an accent, yes, it changes, it shifts the whole energy in the workplace, for sure. It's yeah.
Do you think that when you said you were basically you were made you felt like the other because you immigrated
Mm-hmm.
from Turkey, and was how was that experience for you, being made felt like the other, and then you thought, oh, I have an accent, I'm from Turkey, I'm coming to America. Like how do you think that affected you, if we go back?
It's so funny because I think I was the one who was making myself feel like the other. It was my own limiting beliefs. I was bringing my own mindset into place, because when I said that, people were like, "Oh wow!" Like they saw it as valuable and as authentic, as exotic. They liked it, but I myself was like, Okay, my speech was not very smooth, my English was good on paper, but I was sometimes not understanding things, not being able to express myself fully. And yeah, I did feel like the other. But then understanding that our differences, these different backgrounds, our differences are assets, you know? So
Exactly.
understanding. So that mind shift just changed everything for me.
That's exactly it. How our differences are assets. And that's the
Mhm.
basis you know, of life, really, and
Mhm.
how integration and inclusion are
Mhm.
paramount in all industries, in all walks of life, because you always learn something n- new,
Mhm.
someone who's of, a different background or comes from a different religion or has a different spiritual practice. Like you said, it all boils down to them being human.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm. And just like we spoke of the expansion of the human, us as
Mhm.
growth, growing, it's the
Right.
expansion of the workplace. How can I make the workplace expand and bring
Right.
more, get it, like make it more juicy and more alive and, more expensive and more inclusive? Like it's by including people from diverse backgrounds.
Right.
That is the key. That is the key to make the workplace a better place, to
Exactly.
expand it, to take it to the next level, you know?
Yeah. That's
Mm.
it's interesting. And then going back to women, why, what is it, how can women want more of the more in their life? Where do they start? Like we talk about being aware. Like I know a lot of us want to know when,
Um,
and
I,
how. When does it
yeah,
start? How does it
when
begin?
now, like right now. It starts now.
Right.
And Ellen Watts has a recording. It's called "It Starts Now," and I highly recommend it. It's Goldish, DJ Goldish, using Ellen Watts' work, and it's one of the most powerful things you can ever listen to. And it's called "It Starts Now." So this is the time right now, because we always wait for the feeling, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I don't feel ready. Like ready is
Right.
not a feeling, it's a decision, right? So you make a decision right now
Right.
to take radical responsibility to change your life. And that's where it starts.
Exactly. So what could they work on now that would make the most significance in their life? I remember um I remember one of my homeworks from you was, I tend to look away when I'm thinking, but I'm remembering what I had to do as part of my homework was journal writing.
Mhm.
And I really think that the journal writing, I've been writing in journals since I was 12, but you took it to another level. And I found the journal writing to be productive because the guideline was productive, was positive.
Mhm. The prompt.
And right.
Yeah.
So do you think that would make a significant difference in a woman's
Yes.
life if they
Yes.
started
Yes.
journaling?
Yes.
Not
Yeah.
just
If
the
you don't,
negative.
yeah, it's not if you don't know how to meditate, if you don't know how to do yoga, if you don't know how to do breath work, right? So let's say you don't know any of these tools and you want to start now, like
Right.
journaling, especially the stream of consciousness, like when you first wake up, the morning journal, you wake up and you start writing whatever is in your head, just you know put it all down there so you can actually feel, whew, the space. to work with in your day. Just put it
Right.
all down. Yeah, journaling can be very, very powerful. And I do that, the morning journal. And there's also dream journaling. So writing, I think you did that one too, right? So
I've been
five
doing
years
that.
from now, 5 years from now, who are you? How do you feel? Who's around you? What are you celebrating? Tuning, tapping into these feelings, tapping into these things is, yeah, it just brings us up, pulls us up, helps us level up. Creating that
Right.
energy, that emotion right now is
Right.
powerful.
Mm. There's someone, I'm listening to you, and there's a message here. I'm going to read it out loud. Elisa says, the point is that I don't know how much companies are really interested in this diversity. And I have to say something that is really bothering me. We talk a lot about inclusion, women power, but when a woman asks for support to another woman, the support does not arrive. Why?
Mm. Yeah. Wow. I feel that
Me too.
like in my core.
Me too.
I feel that. So first thing is that might not be the women you're asking that support from might not be the right women. You know,
Men.
this is what we talked about, leveling up your environment, finding women who are vulnerable enough to trust you, to be able to receive your support, and being able to, and confident enough to support you, not you know without being threatened by your success. So it's in the beginning, like I wrote a post about this. I didn't always have a good relationship with women. So for
Neither did I.
me, it came down to healing my mother wounds. I was
Right.
putting this boundary because I was scared of getting hurt. I was scared of having conditional love like this. They're my friends, but when I ask support, they're not there, right? This is not
Right.
unconditional love. So for me, I had to go through my own healing my feminine energy. Mother wounds was a big, 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 big step. Also, second thing you can do with support to create that support is start visualizing it. Like create a vision for the support you want in your life. Write it down. Like you want support with your kids, right? Let's say I'm a single mom, and this is my life right now. I'm a single mom, and yeah, I realized that okay, I would like more support with my son. He's 7. I would like him to go for a sleepover. So now I'm starting writing. I need regular support from other women in my life. It's about attracting other single moms into your life. It's easier to take care of 3 4 kids once a week and then being able to live your trust women where you can leave your child 3 times a week, right? Or whatever it is, but create that vision for yourself. Create that vision. I want to attract women into my life who are supportive of me. So
And it's,
yeah.
yeah, I agree. Dr. Aku says again, she says, sometimes you have to keep asking until you find someone that is willing and has the time.
Yeah,
Y-
yeah,
You
don't
know,
give up. Don't give up. Yeah.
yeah, don't give up. And I think I had this discussion on a talk on Tuesday.
Hmm.
Women in general are groomed to be competitive with the other woman. And it's interesting how you said there's, a lot of mother wounds or inner child healing that we must do. We have to realize it's not a competition.
Yeah.
And you said something that was very interesting. It's how can I become better than myself, which is what I'm teaching my daughter. What is it that you did yesterday that you could make yourself better today?
Mhm.
you know and I think the fact is that once we break that barrier, because it's a barrier, that
Mhm.
they're there to help, they're there to support. And when you see them as a human, a whole human, and understanding where they come from, inner child wounds that are carried into adult life and in relationships, and you understand that. I mean, again, there it depends on who you want to let in your life, but once you understand the bigger picture of where people come from,
Mhm. Yeah.
that they just didn't have all these experiences, good or bad, to not be who they are today, because that's what really makes you who you are today.
Mhm.
That I think w- we won't see women as competitive, you know?
Mhm. How was it for you, like the process of you shifting that mindset of, competition, from competition mindset towards women supporting women mindset?
I think it again, we talk about experiences. It was experiences. I was bullied throughout
Mhm.
all of high school and bullied by other women and other Black women. So
Mhm.
it was very interesting that I carried that with me to do
Mhm.
things for myself, to not share, to be private, because whatever I was bringing to the table, because you're in high school, this happens in high school. So whatever I was bringing to the table was never accepted. But that's
Mhm.
the only peer group you really have, unless you're involved in other extracurricular activities. And then I remember years went by, and the people who did bully me actually apologized. They haphazardly found me on social media. They apologized. And I think
Mhm.
that's when the shift started, because I started realizing that there's just certain people who vibrate on that energy.
Mhm.
And it's up to me to decide if I want those people or that type of energy, not even just those people, but that type of energy in my life.
Mhm. Powerful.
It's powerful. And when I thought that it needs to come with me,
Mhm.
that's when I started attracting, and we're talking about energy,
Mhm.
women who were stronger, women who were vulnerable, women who were happier, women who were comfortable in their relationships. That's a big one. Oh, I'm
Mhm.
not going to go out with whoever because of whatever. And it's comfortable with themselves. And then that's when I start to realize, okay, and then asking for advice, not as much now, but when you're having a conversation, the natural instinct is maybe you should do this. But now I tend to see more the there's a space. It's open, they're leading with their hearts.
Mhm.
They're leading with their hearts. So it was a long process. I mean, I'll be 50 in November. So the process, it took me a heck of a long time to get here. High school was in 1970, 1989 was when I graduated from high school. So it was, but again, like you said, nothing is perfect, but you have to go through an experience to be able to
Mhm.
understand where to go from there.
Mhm.
You see?
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. No, that's powerful. And
Yeah,
it starts with
it's
us, like you said. The more you change, like there are little things, people are apologizing, this and that, but like once you start shifting your own energy, your own relationship with yourself, all of your relationships change, with your kids, with your partners, with your parents, with other women. So it all starts with us.
absolutely. Absolutely. How do you think that, women can want more of what they have? Do you think it's by serving others? What is it that they would need to do?
How can women want more? By tapping into, I would say, like, again, tapping into their desires,
Hmm.
just uncovering this, like peeling. So for me, for example, authenticity, is just peeling the layers of inauthenticity. Okay, I'm doing something right now, right? This is this really what I want? Or am I doing this because I think that my dad, my mom are going to be proud of me, or I think the society, my friends are going to accept me, or I'm going to have a better status, I'm going to have more likes, like everything we talked about, right? So start questioning the things you are doing right now, and then start peeling the things and getting rid of the things, letting go of the things that are not coming from your heart, from your soul, like finding the things that light you up. Yeah, and that starts with creating space by letting go of the things that are not serving you, and then replacing it with the things that are lighting you up, like women. If it's an environment, it's the soil. And when women start feeling their emotions, like even the negative ones, right? Because we label our emotions as like anger, grief. So for me, I'm practicing really feeling them by amplifying them. I'm going through this process of Mama Gina. Her name is Mama Gina. She's amazing. So she helps you feel the feelings, feel the anger, and then move your body, like, work it, let it move through your body, and your grief, and then pleasure, and then combining all that, like really tapping into your pleasure brings out your desires. You need to go through this like journey of uncovering yourself, this unraveling, and just let it open like a flower, basically. And talking about energy again, you will feel like when you wake up, how do you feel, right?
Right.
Are you like, oh no, I have this meeting today, I have a long day today? Or
Right.
you're waking up and like, wow, this is my life, like I get to do this today, you know? Like it's the energy, and you will know if the things you're doing right now are lighting you up or dimming your
Right.
light.
Right. Or dimming your light. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or dimming your light. We did a show about dimming our lights. That's,
Hmm.
yeah. And it's it's realizing that you have the power within
Hmm.
yourself to create those changes.
Yes, yes. We tend to, like, I think one of the shifts also, I mean, this is a lot, but like shifting from victim consciousness and blaming into taking radical responsibility, which comes with realizing your power, realizing that you are the co-creator of your experiences, of your life.
Right.
Because we tend to get stuck in like blaming our parents. Everything
Right.
comes from childhood. When you start your journey, you find out that your parents kind of messed you up a little bit. You start like, there's a point like here, this awareness of is here. Everything happened in the past. The patterns that are not serving you, and here is action of, this is what I need to do, this is what I'm moving towards. But here in the middle, there's for the power, realizing that you have the power, taking radical responsibility, and
Right.
then forgiveness was a big one for me,
Mm.
right? Because when we blame, we need to this process of like, forgiving our parents, forgiving our, I don't know, spouses, whoever you're blaming for the circumstances, and then
Mm.
forgiving yourself for staying maybe too long,
Right.
for not having the boundary, for not having the standard, for staying there too. Like there's all these things, but forgiveness is a big, 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 powerful point.
Component. Absolutely. Because it allows your heart to reopen.
Mm, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
It allows your heart to be open. I'm so happy to have had you here today. It was such a beautiful conversation. I think these courageous and transparent conversations allow us to be more authentic
Hmm.
because then we get to come up as our true selves
Yes.
and show up as we really are. So my
Hmm.
keynote is that while I try to, limit my own bias as much as possible by interviewing only women who I did not know and sticking to the same, set of questions for ongoing
Hmm.
interviews, it was impossible to completely remove my own personal experience from this discussion. Without it, I don't think I would have been able to undertake it in the first place. So the
Mhm.
continual theme constantly surfaces that if true equality, in the workplace is what we're after, sooner or later, we will have to tackle the issues that are distinctive to us. And we talked about that, Olivia. You asked,
Mhm.
me, when did I make that moment? That was an issue that I had to tackle because it was an experience that I lived,
Mhm.
and for you it was something different. So we need to recognize that we're not alone and that we have to continue having these, transparent and courageous dialogues with the people around us, trying to figure out how we feel. Again, you talked about
Mhm.
feelings. How do we feel about all of this? Where is it taking us? Ponder the change. That change starts within us. How you resolve those questions will always be distinctive to you, especially as women and women of color and in different backgrounds. So reflect on your personal and professional experiences through your community, your workspace, your peer groups. We talked about peer groups. What's essential is that you do answer those questions. So go through that reflective process. See where you've dimmed your light, reach out, post your
Mhm.
comments on LinkedIn. Olivia is very easy to reach as well. She's on my LinkedIn as one of my followers, and you can definitely send her a comment or feedback or advice. I'm sure she'll be more than happy
Mhm.
to help you.
Yes, I'll be happy to connect. Thank you so much for having me. This was beautiful.
Oh, it was wonderful. I appreciate it. Thank you again.
Thank you.